Welcome to Pokemon Mainline Games tier list. There's every game here, including Colosseum and XD, as well as the Sinnoh remakes and Legends Arceus, which those aren't out yet at the time of this video, so of course I have to put them in I haven't played. Same with Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee because I haven't played those either. I played a demo and it was alright, but that's all I can say about it. But now onto the games themselves, from Red and Blue all the way to Sword and Shield. Red and Blue, I'd say they're D tier, and then Yellow is slightly better. Is that enough to make it C tier though? Yeah. Crystal, some people say this is S tier, but I feel like they're just blinded by nostalgia because I replayed it and it was okay, but that's all I can say about it. It's B tier. And Ruby and Sapphire, also B tier. Pokemon Colosseum is S tier. Fire and Leaf Green are A tier. Emerald is A tier as well. Again, some people would also call this S tier, but although I really liked Emerald, I don't know if I could put it in S tier. Maybe I'll make some changes throughout, but that's how things are. That's how they stand right now. The XD Gale of Darkness is also S tier for me. Diamond and Pearl. I didn't really like Diamond and Pearl that much. I think they're still better than Crystal, but they're just very subpar Pokemon games, which is why I really hope the Diamond and Pearl remakes aren't just those games all over again. They need to have changes from modern Pokemon as well as Platinum, which I'm pretty sure they are going to have changes from modern Pokemon, but they need to have some quality of life improvements from Platinum and just new improvements as well. Because if they're the same games, they're going to be like, they would go right here. Which, that is not a good thing. But anyway, Platinum is S tier. Platinum's way better than Diamond and Pearl. So, if these games if they take a lot of changes from Platinum and have some new changes as well, they will be S tier as well. But if they don't do anything, they'll be down there with Diamond and Pearl. Heart Gold, Soul Silver are also S tier though. And so are Black and White. And Black and White 2. And X and Y. Yes, the story of Kalos was very unfinished and all that, and like the plot of the games was a bit underwhelming. It felt unfinished in some areas, but I still kind of liked X and Y. I'd say they're B tier. Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, I'll put them in A tier. The quality of Emerald and Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire is very close in my opinion. I think Emerald edges out slightly because it's a more challenging game and it has some cool story changes to it. I mean, I never really cared for the Battle Frontier, but I still wish Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire had it. I feel like the Battle Frontier would be way better in modern Pokemon than it was back in Gens 3 and 4, where it's a lot easier to make your team battle ready. So more people could enjoy the Battle Frontier, and it'll be easier to get into. It would still be challenging, the battles themselves, but it'll be easier to get into. Because in the old games, it's hard to raise a competitive team. So not only are the battles hard, but it's also hard to even start doing it because you can't really raise a competitive team. That's why I'd like to see the Battle Frontier in modern Pokemon. Maybe Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl will have it, though maybe not as well. Who knows? Pokemon Sun and Moon, as well as the Ultra games. In terms of story, I prefer Sun and Moon, but like gameplay and all that stuff, I prefer the Ultra games. So I guess I would do that. And Sword and Shield. Base Sword and Shield are not that good. And you know what? I'm gonna knock Crystal down to C tier, just so Yellow isn't there by itself. But yeah, as for Sword and Shield, Base Sword and Shield are kind of underwhelming. They're not bad games either, but kind of underwhelming. But with the DLC added, I really like parts of the DLC. I guess we are talking about the DLC here because this tier list is updated to 2021 after all. So Sword and Shield with DLC. The DLC is pretty good. So overall, with all of that put together, it is a good experience. So I could probably put it I'd say in between X and Y and Sun and Moon. If this were base Sword and Shield we were talking about, I'd probably put it like here or maybe even here. But the DLC improved it quite a bit. But still, the base game is still there, and the DLC didn't change it at all. So I'd just say they're average Pokemon games. Some people would hate this game and put it down here at the bottom, but I don't hate it by any means. The Dex cut was kind of weird. Like, they didn't really have an excuse. They didn't change models or animations for existing Pokemon at all. If they did, I would understand. Like, Legends Arceus probably isn't going to have all the Pokemon, and that's fine, because it looks like they're actually making changes to the existing Pokemon, and not to mention it's an open world game. But Sword and Shield, they're normal linear games. Didn't change the old Pokemon models from X and Y. So, yeah. The Dex cut thing doesn't really make sense, but it's no big deal. If you're just playing for a casual experience, it's not really going to affect you. But that's where I'd put Sword and Shield. X and Y are pretty good games. Should I swap X and Y with Ultra Sun and Moon? No, it's fine the way it is. X and Y are pretty good games though. I don't know if they're good enough to be A tier, but they're good. I like X and Y. And it's been like 8 years at this point, so people who started with X and Y probably have nostalgia for it at this point. That's kind of crazy. I mean, I have a bit of nostalgia for like the early days, like the hype leading up to the game, as well as just playing it for the first time. It was a fun experience. All of the Pokemon games are fun in their own way, but as for these games, I know I can't really place them, but from what I think they're gonna be like, where could I place them on the tier list? Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee is basically just yellow again, but with a few changes here and there. So I guess I'd put it right there. And Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl. What I'm assuming they're going to be right now is like Diamond and Pearl, but with modern battle mechanics and minimal changes from Platinum, no Battle Frontier either. That's what I'm assuming they're going to be like. That would put them like right here, right in between Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum. That's probably what it's going to be like, though. If they exceed my expectations, this could be an S tier game on it. This could be S tier. That'll be pretty good. That would be great. But we don't know what they're going to do with it. And as for Pokemon Legends Arceus, this game has a lot of potential, but is Game Freak going to live up to it, or are they going to screw things up somehow? You never really know with them. They've made some fantastic games, but they've also made very underwhelming stuff, so you never know with them. But it could be like right here, somewhere around here, if it lives up to its potential. But as it stands, we have no idea how it's gonna go. It's gotta wait until we actually learn more about the game, and when we get to play it. The initial reveal trailer was kind of rough in some areas, but if they fix all that, like if they clean up the game, make it just polish it up and all that, then as long as it plays good and it's not disappointing in some ways, it would be a very good game. We know it's not going to be linear like certain games, because it's open world Pokemon. It's not going to be linear. The story might be, but the gameplay, there's not going to be like linear routes or anything like that. But yeah, I just hope these games end up being way better than what fans are currently expecting. But that's how I would rank things. But I explained how I feel on some games, but not all of them. Like Red and Blue, the Game Boy games, all four of these, they just haven't aged that well in my opinion. Like, I understand people have a ton of nostalgia for those games, but I don't have a ton of nostalgia for them. So I'm able to see how flawed they are in the modern day. And I played all of them except for original Red and Blue recently, and they're still good. They're still good games, of course, but they haven't aged well in some areas, especially like Gold and Silver, and Yellow. And yeah, Crystal is the best of the Game Boy era, of course, but that's all I can really say about it. Diamond and Pearl, they're solid games, but they're kind of rough in some areas. It's like they didn't fully develop their engine yet. They didn't get it right until Platinum came along, and then Heart Gold Soul Silver used that engine in an even better way. Ruby and Sapphire, they're pretty good as well, but I couldn't rank them higher than I have them right now. Sun and Moon, it had one of the better Pokemon stories. That's not really saying much because Pokemon games never really have a good story. The best we've had is original Black and White, and I don't know if I could call that outstanding either. By Pokemon standards, it sure is, but yeah. Sword and Shield, I already talked about Sword and Shield and X and Y, how they're a bit underwhelming, but I don't hate them like some people do. Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, there's some things that are better than the original Sun and Moon, but in terms of raw gameplay, the Ultra games are a better experience. There's more to do, and the post game's better. Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire, they're good remakes of the original games, and I like the extra stuff they added, like the Delta episode and the Mirage spots, all that. It's pretty good. Emerald, it has a better main plot line than any of the other Hoenn games, and it's just a fun experience. I played it sort of recently. Actually, it's not really that recent anymore, but I played it on the challenge run, and it was fun. Fire Red and Leaf Green, I just really like Fire Red and Leaf Green. They were some of my first Pokemon games alongside like Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald, and I really enjoyed them. I could probably play that game again and still have just as much fun as I did the last 3 times or whatever, because they're very fun. I did an in-depth walkthrough of it on my channel as well. If you want to watch that, well, on the main channel. This isn't uploaded on the main channel. Yeah, it's a very fun game, and in my opinion, the definitive Kanto experience. There's some things it could have done better, which is why it's not S tier. Like, it would have been way better if they made certain Johto Pokemon available in the main story. Like come on, let players evolve their Chanseys and Golbats into Blissies and Crobats in the main story. Why not? Come on. People are worried that Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl will be too faithful to the originals, and in some aspects, Fire and Leaf Green were, by not letting you use your Crobats, like get a Crobat in the main story. So I hope that sort of thing is not done here. Like, let people use Sylveon in the main story if they want. And Platinum, I kind of went over that as well. It's like Diamond Pearl, but better in every way. So that makes it S tier. Heart Gold Soul Silver, in some ways they vastly improved on the original games, but there's also things they could have done better, which is why I think it's not as good as the Unova games. Yeah, like they could have fixed the level curve issue a bit. In some ways they made it worse. Like they made Red even higher leveled, even though there's a casual playthrough of this isn't gonna have you much higher level than a casual playthrough in Gold and Silver. So instead of either lowering the trainers' levels or giving you more options to gain experience, like more trainers or something, instead of doing that, they raised the levels in some areas or left them the same. So the level curve is pretty bad, and they could have made evolution stones easier to get. But apart from that, they're very good games. I really enjoy Heart Gold Soul Silver. And Black and White and Black 2 and White 2. If you don't count Coliseum and XD, these are by far the best core games in the entire series. Like just everything about them is better than the other games in my opinion. Story, exploration, and just the level curve and all the level balancing and all that, the kind of Pokemon you can get, it's all done pretty well in my opinion. And out of all the Pokemon games that have HMs, Black and White are the most lenient on HMs. I don't think you need a single HM to beat the main story. Of course, if you want to explore everywhere, you're going to need the HMs, but otherwise, I don't think you need them in Black and White. Black and White 2, you do need some HMs. Like, I think you need Cut and Surf, and maybe Strength, I don't remember. But yeah, still pretty lenient on HMs compared to the other games. They're just a fun time. I could replay Black 2 or White 2 again and enjoy it. Same with Fire Red, Leaf Green, as well as Black and White, Heart Gold, Soul Silver, and Platinum. Though I kind of don't want to replay Platinum because I want as fresh of an experience as possible for the Diamond Pro remakes. But yeah, they're just amazing games. And Coliseum and XD, they're very fun. I replayed them again recently, and they're actually better than I remembered. If you want a challenge in a main series style game, this is the game for you. Coliseum and XD are way more challenging than any of these other games. Like, by far. I mean, the entire game has you do double battles, which already makes it more interesting gameplay-wise. And there's no... It doesn't have a lot of traditional things like routes or gyms or anything like that. And I've actually heard some people hating it for that reason, but I don't think that's a reason to hate it. Like, that stuff's good in the mainline games, but it's not needed for a good game. I mean, Legends Arceus clearly isn't going to have gyms, and it's still going to be at least B tier. Like, worst case scenario, I think it's going to be B tier. So yeah, that stuff isn't required for a good Pokemon experience. So they're challenging. You don't have as many options for Pokemon either, but it makes you have to think more about what you choose for your team. In other games, you could use just about anything, except for Sword and Shield, I suppose, and Let's Go. But in other games, you can use you could use a ton of Pokemon. Well, actually, even in Sword and Shield and Let's Go, you can have way more options than in XD or especially Coliseum. But that kind of makes you think more about what your team's going to be like in these games. That's part of what makes it challenging. But also the battles themselves, they're all double battles, and it's just a lot more challenging than the mainline games. Like, in my most recent playthrough of XD, I wasn't imposing any sort of challenge on myself in any way. I don't tend to do that in the games. I just tend to play how I do. But even with that, I lost a battle in my most recent playthrough of XD, and I don't really lose battles in Pokemon games anymore. Of course I did as a kid. Like, I would lose against Wallace and Emerald, or against Steven and Ruby and Sapphire, or against Lance in Heart Gold, Soul Silver, or also Whitney, or Cynthia and Platinum. But replaying those games now, I never lose battles, but in my most recent playthrough of XD, I did lose a battle. So that should probably say something about how much more challenging they are than the mainline games. So yeah, if you want a challenging Pokemon game, these are the games for you. Coliseum is challenging as well. I didn't lose a battle at all in that game, but I think there were a few close calls. So yeah, these games are very fun, and they're also challenging. They don't have a lot of the traditional stuff, but that's because they're not traditional Pokemon games. I'm pretty sure they let you know up front that they're not traditional games. And also they're also not really considered core games. So of course they're not going to be like the traditional mainline games. I think the only way it's similar is with the battle system. That's the only way it's the same. Apart from that, it's all different. But yeah, that's why those games are S tier. They're just really fun. I don't know when I'll replay them in the future, but I might do it sometime. All of these games are games I could easily replay again if I wanted to. And including Fire Red and Emerald. All the games in S tier and A tier are games I could replay in the future and still have fun. So yeah, that's my mainline Pokemon games tier list. And I guess I'll see you in a future video.